Afternoon, everybody. I think we're about ready to go here. My name's David Dietrichs. I'm with Miller & Martin Law Firm based out of Chattanooga. We've got offices around the southeast, but before that I was with the state as the deputy counsel in charge of compliance for 5 or 6 years. So for those of you I know, hello, and those I don't know, hello as well. I'm not real comfortable holding the mic here, so if you can't hear me, kind of wave me to bring it up to my face. But what I'm going to be covering today are training agreements. So I know there was a one-on-one session talking about programmatic services and customized training incumbent worker, OJT, at a very high level. So I'm hoping we can kind of skim over eligibility and some of those baseline factors and jump into contract negotiation and then the actual paperwork. I expect there to be questions, so please slow me down and feel free to interrupt and ask them. All right, so very high level, 2 primary funding mechanisms for training under WIOA. Obviously, everybody's familiar with ITAs, your eligible training provider list. Obviously, your state or your local vetting happens to make them eligible. Pretty clean payment process involved there as well. Your second option is going to be training contracts. That's what we're going to talk about here today, almost exclusively. OJTs, customized training, incumbent worker, and very briefly, transitional jobs. Quick show of hands, is anybody doing transitional jobs in your local areas? Awesome. They're a great option. I'm not just full, keep that one light. All right, so moving on here, it's important to know, again, the exceptions. So this is right out of the law, and it talks about how we just talked about what the contract exceptions were. Services either OJT, customized training, IW, transitional. Also, I know when I was with the state, we had a couple situations where local workforce areas didn't have an adequate number of training providers within a certain category or training zone. So sometimes they would use that exception to enter into a training contract. So that is available as well. Additionally, you have demonstrated effectiveness serving individual barriers to employment. The barriers to employment is kind of a unique population there. So again, that's a little bit more of a carve out on what type of training contracts you're going to have there. Also your higher ed opportunities there for in-demand sectors. So kind of your sector strategy stuff, kind of coming into play there a little bit. And then also your pay-per-performance contracts. Now, I'm only going to talk about number 1 because the OJT, customized training, IW, and transitional all kind of fall under a little bit of the same hat on the contracting, the training plans, and the payment structures. The other ones are going to be a little bit more unique and more on an individual basis. So if you have questions about those, I'm happy to talk about them, but maybe not in this session. So the first one we're going to talk about is OJT. So the important things about OJT, and again, thinking about this as I go through these slides about drafting a contract and the different elements of your contract, your different provisions, and your different party identification, all of that. Because it really does start with the statute and with the regulations. And by the time you get to putting pen to paper, it should already really be done for you. So provides knowledge or skills essential to the full and adequate performance of the job. So right off the bat, you're thinking, okay, skill assessments, ONET codes, SVP,